July 3, 1863, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. 3 p.m. 12,500 Confederate soldiers line up in formation. A mile-wide line, across an open field, Union cannons wait. General George Pickett turns to his men. Charge, they march forward. Into hell. Within 1 hour, 6,500 of them are dead or wounded. Bodies piled so high you can't see the ground. This wasn't a battle against a foreign enemy. This was Americans killing Americans. Brothers killing brothers. Father against son. Cousin against cousin. 620,000 Americans would die in this war. More than World War I, World War II, Korea, and Vietnam combined. Why? One word: slavery. Could a nation survive when half believed in freedom and half believed in owning human beings? The answer came through blood. This is the American Civil War. The war that nearly destroyed the United States. The war that killed more Americans than any other conflict in history. The war that finally answered the question the founders couldn't. Can slavery exist in America? Let's rewind, back to where this nightmare began. Section 1. The breaking point, November 6, 1860. Election Day. Abraham Lincoln wins the presidency. He doesn't win a single southern state. Not one. His name isn't even on the ballot in 10 southern states. But he wins anyway because the North has more people, more states, more electoral votes. The South is terrified. Lincoln's Republican Party has one core principle: stop slavery from expanding into new territories. Southerners see this as a death sentence. Their entire economy runs on slavery. Cotton plantations, tobacco farms, rice fields, all powered by enslaved labor. 4 million enslaved people, worth billions in today's money. If slavery can't expand, Southern leaders believe it will eventually die. And with it, their wealth, their power, their way of life. December 20, 1860. South Carolina makes a decision. They secede from the United States. Within weeks, 10 more states follow: Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, Texas, Virginia, Arkansas, Tennessee, North Carolina. They form a new nation, the Confederate States of America. New president, Jefferson Davis, former U.S. Senator. New capital, Richmond, Virginia. New flag, new constitution. Their constitution explicitly protects slavery forever. President James Buchanan, still in office until Lincoln's inauguration in March, does nothing. He's weak, indecisive. He believes states have a right to secede, but he has no power to stop them. So he just waits. March 4, 1861. Lincoln's inauguration. In his inaugural address, Lincoln tries to calm the South. I have no purpose, directly or indirectly, to interfere with the institution of slavery in the states where it exists, but he also makes one thing clear: no state has the right to secede. The Union is unbroken. The South doesn't care. They're already gone. The United States is splitting in two. But so far, no one has fired a shot. Section 2. The war begins April 12, 1861. Fort Sumter, South Carolina. A Union fort in Charleston Harbor. Federal property. American soil. Confederate General P.G.D. Beauregard demands the fort surrender. Union Commander Robert Anderson refuses. At 4:30 a.m., Confederate artillery opens fire. For 34 straight hours, they bombard the fort. Over 3,000 shells. Amazingly, no one dies. But the fort is destroyed. Anderson surrenders. The Civil War has begun. Lincoln immediately calls for 75,000 volunteers to put down the rebellion. This decision pushes 4 more states into the Confederacy: Virginia, Arkansas, Tennessee, North Carolina. Suddenly, the Confederacy has 11 states. The Union has 23, including border slave states that stayed loyal: Maryland, Delaware, Kentucky, Missouri. Everyone thinks it'll be a short war. Northerners will crush them in 90 days. Southerners, one Southern man can whip 10 Yankees. They're both wrong. July 21, 1861. First Battle of Bull Run, Manassas, Virginia. The first major battle. Washingtonians actually come out to watch, bringing picnic baskets, thinking it'll be a spectacle. The Union attacks. Initially, they're winning. Then Confederate reinforcements arrive, led by General Thomas Stonewall Jackson, who earns his nickname by holding his ground like a stone wall. The Union line collapses. Soldiers flee in panic, tangled with the panicked civilians. The South wins. The North is humiliated. Reality sets in. This will be a long, bloody war. Lincoln realizes he needs a real general. He appoints George McClellan to command the Army of the Potomac. McClellan is great at organizing and training soldiers, but he's terrified of actually fighting. He always thinks he's outnumbered. He's not. He delays. He hesitates. Lincoln grows frustrated. If General McClellan isn't going to use his army, I'd like to borrow it. Meanwhile, the South has a military genius, Robert E. Lee. Lee had been offered command of all Union forces at the war's start. He turned it down. He couldn't fight against his home state of Virginia, so Lee resigned from the U.S. Army and joined the Confederacy. Lee is brilliant, aggressive, bold. His troops worship him. He'll become the South's greatest hope and eventually, its greatest heartbreak. Section 3. The bloodiest day in American history, September 17, 1862. Antietam, Maryland. Lee invades the North. He's trying to win a decisive victory on Union soil, hoping to convince Britain and France to recognize the Confederacy. McClellan's Union army intercepts him. What follows is the bloodiest single day in American history. 23,000 casualties in one day. Dead, wounded, missing. More American casualties in 12 hours than in the Revolutionary War, War of 1812, and Mexican-American War combined. Soldiers fight across a sunken road later called Bloody Lane. Bodies pile up so deep you can walk across without touching the ground. Near Burnside's Bridge, Union troops are slaughtered trying to cross. At the cornfield, soldiers charge back and forth. It changes hands 15 times. At the end, every single stalk of corn has been cut down by bullets. One soldier wrote, "The landscape was red. The corn was red. The fences were red. Everything was red with blood." McClellan has reinforcements, fresh troops who haven't fought yet. Lee's army is shattered. One more push would destroy them completely. McClellan doesn't attack. He lets Lee retreat back to Virginia. Lincoln is furious. Another missed opportunity, but the battle has one crucial impact. Lincoln uses the Union's victory, really a draw, to issue the Emancipation Proclamation. January 1st, 1863. The Emancipation Proclamation takes effect. Lincoln declares, all enslaved people in Confederate states are free. It's a war measure. It doesn't free slaves in border states still loyal to the Union, but it changes the war's meaning. This is no longer just about preserving the Union. This is about ending slavery. Britain and France, which had been considering recognizing the Confederacy, back off. They can't support a nation fighting to preserve slavery. The war escalates. Section 4. Gettysburg, the turning point, July 1st, 1863. Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Lee invades the North again. He needs a decisive victory to break Northern morale. The two armies collide by accident in this small Pennsylvania town. For 3 days, they tear each other apart. Day 1, Confederates push Union forces through the town onto high ground south of Gettysburg, Cemetery Hill and Cemetery Ridge. Day 2, Lee attacks the Union flanks, fighting at places like Little Round Top, the Peach Orchard, Devil's Den, the Wheat Field. It's chaos. Hand-to-hand combat. Bayonets, rocks, fists. Colonel Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain's 20th Maine holds Little Round Top against wave after wave of attacks. When they run out of ammunition, they fix bayonets and charge downhill. They save the Union left flank. Day 3, July 3rd. Pickett's charge. This is where we started. Lee makes a desperate gamble. He'll attack the Union center, a mile-wide assault across open ground. 12,500 men. Confederacy's best. They line up, flags flying, drums beating. Then they march. Union artillery opens fire. Shells rip through the Confederate lines. Men fall by the hundreds. They keep marching. Closer. 500 yards. 400 yards. 300 yards. Union infantry opens fire. It's a slaughter. A few hundred Confederates actually reach the Union line, the high water mark of the Confederacy. Then they're pushed back, killed, captured. The charge fails. Half of Pickett's division is dead or wounded. Lee rides out to meet the survivors. It's all my fault. July 4th, 1863. Lee retreats. The Battle of Gettysburg is over. 51,000 casualties in 3 days. The Confederacy will never recover. Pattern interrupt number 1. Let me stop here for a second. 620,000 dead over for years. That's 450 people every single day. Imagine a town of 450 people. Now imagine that entire town being wiped out every day for 4 years straight. That's the Civil War. Families destroyed, towns emptied, an entire generation of young men gone. And for what? Because one half of the country refused to give up slavery. Remember that. As we continue this story, remember, this war was about slavery, not states' rights, not economics, not culture. Slavery. The South said so explicitly when they seceded. Mississippi's declaration. Our position is thoroughly identified with the institution of slavery. The Vice President of the Confederacy, Alexander Stephens. Slavery is the cornerstone of the Confederacy. They fought to preserve the right to own human beings. And 620,000 Americans died because of it. Okay, let's continue. Section 5. Grant takes command while Gettysburg raged in Pennsylvania. Another crucial battle was happening in Mississippi. Vicksburg. The city sat on the Mississippi River. If the Union captured it, they'd control the entire river, cutting the Confederacy in half. Union General Ulysses S. Grant besieged the city for 47 days. July 4th, 1863, the same day Lee retreated from Gettysburg. Vicksburg surrendered. The Confederacy is split in two. Lincoln finally found his general. Grant wasn't fancy. He didn't give inspiring speeches. He drank too much. But he won battles. He understood something other Union generals didn't. The North had more men, more resources, more everything. Sustain the pressure. Grind them down. Eventually, they'll break. March 1864. Lincoln promotes Grant to commander of all Union armies. Grant's strategy: attack everywhere. Give the South no rest, no chance to reinforce. He'll take on Lee personally in Virginia. General William Tecumseh Sherman will drive through Georgia. The Confederacy will be crushed between them. Section 6. Total War, May-June 1864. The Overland Campaign. Grant and Lee clash in a series of brutal battles. The Wilderness, Spotsylvania, Cold Harbor. 60,000 Union casualties in 6 weeks. Previous Union generals would have retreated after such losses. Grant doesn't. He keeps pushing south, toward Richmond. Lee can't replace his losses. The South is running out of men. Meanwhile, Sherman marches through Georgia. September 2nd, 1864. Atlanta falls. Sherman captures the city. Then he does something shocking. He burns it. Not just military targets. Everything. Sherman believes in total war. Destroy the South's ability to wage war. Burn factories, railroads, farms. Break their will to fight. November-December 1864. Sherman's march to the sea. Sherman cuts a 60-mile-wide path of destruction from Atlanta to Savannah. His army burns plantations, frees enslaved people, destroys crops and livestock. They're not killing civilians, but they're making sure the South can sustain the war. Sherman reaches Savannah on December 21st. He telegraphs Lincoln, "I beg to present you as a Christmas gift the city of Savannah. The Confederacy is dying." April 1865. Petersburg and Richmond fall. Grant finally breaks through Lee's defenses. Richmond, the Confederate capital, is abandoned and burned. Lee's army retreats west. They're starving, exhausted, surrounded. April 9th, 1865. Appomattox Courthouse, Virginia. Lee meets Grant in a private home. Grant offers generous terms. Confederate soldiers can go home. They keep their horses for farming. Officers keep their sidearms. No trials for treason. Lee signs the surrender. The Civil War is over. Section 7. Lincoln's assassination. The war ended. But the cost. April 14th, 1865. 5 days after Lee's surrender, President Lincoln attends a play at Ford's Theater in Washington. Our American Cousin. He's in a good mood. The war is won. The Union preserved. At 10:15 p.m., actor and Confederate sympathizer John Wilkes Booth sneaks into the presidential box. He shoots Lincoln in the back of the head. Booth jumps to the stage shouting "Sic semper tyrannis," thus always to tyrants. He escapes on horseback. Lincoln is carried to a boarding house across the street. He never regains consciousness. April 15, 1865. 7:22 a.m. Abraham Lincoln dies. The nation is devastated. The man who saved the Union is gone. Booth is hunted down and killed 12 days later. Conclusion: 620,000 Americans dead. More than any war before or since. Entire towns lost their young man. Families shattered. A generation scarred. But slavery was abolished. The 13th Amendment, ratified in December 1865, ended slavery forever. 4 million people free. But freedom on paper didn't mean equality. The South resisted. Black codes restricted black people's rights. The Ku Klux Klan terrorized black communities. Reconstruction, the period of rebuilding and integrating freed slaves, would be a struggle. And in many ways, that struggle continues today. The Civil War answered one question: can slavery exist in America? No, but it left another. Can black and white Americans truly live as equals? That question would define the next 150 years of American history. This is part 4 of our complete American history series. We've covered the discovery of America and the devastating cost to indigenous peoples, the American Revolution and independence, building America and the Trail of Tears, and now the Civil War. Next comes Reconstruction and the rise of Jim Crow. Then the Industrial Revolution. America becomes a global power. World Wars, the Great Depression, the Civil Rights Movement, and finally, modern America. If you want to see the complete story, hit that subscribe button now. Turn on notifications so you don't miss part 5. And if this documentary taught you something or made you feel something, smash that like button. It tells YouTube to show this to more people. Help us spread real history. Drop a comment. What shocked you most about the Civil War? That 620,000 died? That it was absolutely about slavery? Lincoln's assassination just days after victory? That brother literally fought brother? Let me know below. Share this video with someone who needs to understand this part of American history. Tag a history teacher. This is the stuff that should be taught in every school. Thanks for watching this documentary. I'm honored you spent nearly an hour learning this story with me. Remember, those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, keep seeking truth. I'll see you in part 5.